All right, so understanding the Amazon KDP algorithm changes how you approach everything with your books. By knowing how customers shop and buy, and more importantly, how Amazon evaluates your books, you set yourself up for success. So, in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how the Amazon algorithm works and just share some strategies to give you an unfair advantage so you can leverage the algorithm and get the most from your books. So, now, of course, nobody really knows how the Amazon algorithm works, but the overarching idea of it is very simple. So, let's get into it. So first things first, how did the old Amazon KDP algorithm work? What are we comparing this to? So basically, the old algorithm was very much an SEO-based algorithm. The more keywords you had, it's supposed to say you here, the more and higher you ranked. And so it's very much just SEO-based like normal Google search engine. And the quality was secondary as there was no competition. And so everyone was just fighting for ranking. And so back in the day, the publishers who started back in like 2016, 2017, it was basically easy. I didn't start back then, unfortunately, but you publish books, there's no competition, and they just sold if you ranked in as many places as possible. And so things have changed because around 1.4 million books get published to Amazon every single year. So of course, it's not going to be like this anymore. Amazon has to change how they run their algorithm to favor the books that, quote unquote, do the best. And so what's changed, the new Amazon algorithm, and what happens today is there's way more books getting published, there's way more competition, there's not enough search placements to fill in with all the books. And so, like I said, what Amazon has to do is filter based on what shows potential. So the Amazon algorithm is a performance-based algorithm. If you prove to Amazon that people want your book, you're going to rank higher, similar to YouTube. If you get lots of clicks, lots of retention, your video is going to get shown to more people. So all we're trying to do with Amazon KDP is to have a book that ranks high in a high demand topic. Of course, there's lots of nuanced details underneath that, but that's where we want our book to be. And what determines that is the performance of it. So if we publish a book, nothing happens, no one's going to care, Amazon's not going to care. But if we publish a book, do everything properly, people are clearly buying it, Amazon notices that. And so if your book is losing its ranking, you can also increase this because you can increase the performance of it. And so you can get more reviews, you can update your cover to have a better click-through rate, you can increase your Amazon ad budget or your campaigns to drive more sales and work your way back up. And so I do have a strategy that I call the 90-day relaunch, which helps keep your book ranking for a long period of time, which we're going to get into later in the video. So definitely stay tuned for that. It's very, very important. But basically, there are two phases to leveraging the algorithm to get the most out of it. And that is our book launch, doing this correctly, and then keeping up with consistent sales. So we're going to dive into exactly how to do this and how to leverage the algorithm properly. But before we dive in, let's just go over a few important factors such as keywords in your titles compared to before and how they actually factor in. So going over to how keywords factor in is keywords or your book topic, your search term, what you want to incorporate in your metadata are still important, but in a very different way. And so the old school way is what people would do is just keyword stuff their titles, basically as many keywords as they could get in their main title and their subtitle they would put. They were not thinking about quality or offer or speaking to the customer. It was very much just as many attributes as you can get. Nowadays, because it's a performance-based system and we want to set our book up for success, we want to, of course, make sure we are targeting our main keyword and then the desirable attributes to actually sell our book. And that's it. If we get these two main things, we will be set up for success because we are speaking to our main customer and we are selling to that customer. And so something very important I want to get into is I have multiple 5-figure books, multiple books that have sold tens of thousands of dollars. And I can promise you with every single one of these books, probably at least 80% of the sales have come from their main 1 to 3 search terms. Probably even main search term. That's it. My books do not rank in a million different places and have sales from all over the place. Ranking high in your main search term, having the best book there is going to be how you make the most money. That's it. And so all you should care about is creating a book that ranks high in your main search term and is the best option out of all the other books. And if you do this, this is how you get these incredible results that everybody talks about because they have the best book ranking high in a high demand topic. And to make multiple thousands of dollars a month from your books, you don't have to make hundreds of sales a day. It's maybe 20 or 30. And so when there's thousands of people searching these topics, to get 20 or 30 sales is not that hard. You just have to have a desirable book that ranks high enough. The demand has to be there. And so the most important thing when it comes to the keywords in your title is we have to have a high demand topic. Of course, we have to make sure that that topic is specific. We are solving one problem for one person. and then we're targeting that exact topic for that exact person in the most desirable way. And so only worry about getting your main keyword in your title and targeting your customer effectively. And anything else that comes in it that's a keyword that helps you rank is great, but overall we want to make sure we find one customer, one topic, target that topic well, and make it desirable. And so focus on selling to your main search term, not just ranking. If we're selling to our main search term, we will get sales, which will help us rank. And so if you create a strong book with a good offer, you will sell and rank anywhere that's relevant. You don't need to have as many keywords as you can, because at the end of the day, all we want to do is rank where relevant, not rank in a bunch of different places. Because a book that is created to rank and a book that is created to sell are two different things, and a book that is created to rank is not desirable. A book that is created to sell is, and that's what's going to do well. So here's an example of a fitness book. And so the main title is going to be exactly who it's for and what it's doing. And the subtitle is going to be selling to that customer. And so in this case, we have fall prevention balance exercises for seniors, your 28-day plan with 100 plus illustrations, simple exercises and large print text for core strength, stability, and fall prevention in 15 minutes a day. And so depending on your topic, your subtitle might be shorter or longer, but the important thing is we are looking at our competitors, what's working in the space, and how can we make it more desirable. So in this case, for an exercise book, people like to see 28-day plans. They like to see that there's illustrations, it's large print, it's 15 minutes a day. But the important thing is we are selling how the book solves the problem. We are not putting in here fall prevention balance exercises for seniors, for chair yoga, for wall Pilates, and trying to get all these different keywords so our book ranks. All we're doing is focusing on targeting the one search term, which is balance exercises for seniors. And we're telling that person that we're going to solve that problem for them by giving them tons of illustrations, simple exercises, large print in 15 minutes a day. And so this book will most likely only rank for its main search term, balance exercises for seniors, as well as maybe anything related to balance exercises for seniors, and that's fine. So I know the keyword stuff is boring, but it is very important to leverage the algorithm properly. But now let's get into the next part, which is actually how we can leverage the algorithm properly and get the most from our books. And so we have our foundation. We are targeting our topic effectively with the right use of keywords, not just for ranking, but for the performance-based system. And now we can go into the three things that we talked about, which is our launch, getting consistent sales, and of course our 90-day relaunch. So when it comes to our book launch, so nobody knows for sure, but it is important that the first 30 days our book is live, we basically establish our book the best that we can. When your book is new, Amazon is looking at it more closely, and it's going to determine where it should rank if you get good results. So we have to make sure that our first 30 days of our launches is done well. And so how we do this is we upload our book at a discount. For high content books, I always put it at $9.99. We then run a free price promotion. This can be done on your KDP dashboard under the marketing tab. Once our book is on a price promotion, we're going to get our reviews. So I do have a video on getting book reviews, but basically you can use Book Bounty, collect points throughout your book creation process. So when we launch our book, we can get at least 100 reviews. Now that sounds like a lot, but it's really not. If you are preparing beforehand and getting points throughout the book creation process, getting 100 reviews is very possible. Like I said, I will link below that review video. And so we have our book at a discount, we have our reviews. Now we just need to drive sales to tell the algorithm that our book is selling well and people want it, so it ranks it higher. This is done through Amazon ads. And so we set our book up to sell as quickly as possible through getting our reviews and uploading it in that first week. And then we drive as many sales as we can through ads. That's it. That's all your launch is doing, is making your book desirable and driving sales. And a desirable book in a strong topic that gets a lot of sales will rank on page 1. Probably even do this fast. And so the reason why people don't have results is because they don't get enough reviews. They don't have the ad budget to actually launch their book. And yes, I know high content books does cost money to launch it properly. And their book just isn't in a position to sell well. Doesn't really gain much traction. And Amazon just keeps it in, page 3, 4, or 5. And so we are just talking about the algorithm today, but if you want to go more in depth in things like Amazon ads and things like your book launch, I will link very comprehensive videos below for those. So once we've launched our book, this happens around the first 30 days. We then want to get consistent sales. And how we get consistent sales is very simple. We, of course, need to rank high. If you've done everything else properly, you should do this. We have to have a desirable book. But more importantly, we have to see our book through until the end. We have to push our book to 150 reviews plus. I've done a lot of coaching calls with people building KDP businesses. And one thing I see a lot is people will have like 5 books out and they'll all have like 40 reviews. I can promise you one book with 200 reviews is better than 5 books with 40. And so unless you're making 5 or 10 grand a month with your high content books, don't worry about pumping them out fast. Like I've mentioned before in other videos, the biggest unfair advantage you can have compared to all the other KDP publishers is giving 100% to one book and seeing it through until the end. We focus on the topic, the title, the cover. We focus on launching it. We get as many reviews as we can during our launch. And then before we move on to the next book, we gain more currency. We go into the 90-day relaunch, which we will get into in a second, get even more reviews for our book. And before we go to the next one, we have 150 to 200 reviews and our book is established, maybe even an audiobook as well. And so don't worry about pumping out more books. Slow it down. High content publishing is a game of strategy and long-term thinking, and launching a good book, getting it ranking where it needs to go, and seeing it through until the end so it doesn't die off. So now let's get into the next thing when it comes to actually leveraging the algorithm, and that is the 90-day relaunch. So like I said, the algorithm is a performance-based system. So the better our book performs, the better it's going to rank. And so you can publish a book and get some good ranking, but maybe it starts to die off. And the 90-day relaunch is the best way to keep our book relevant for as long as possible. And so this is very simple. We are simply relaunching our book while our book is live. And so all we're going to do is just go into our KDP dashboard, edit our book, discount it. We're going to run another free promo because the free promo comes up every 90 days, hence why I call it the 90-day relaunch. And so we're going to get a bunch more reviews because we have collected our currency over this time. We are then going to drive extra sales. Most likely your book will sell better if it is discounted with more reviews, but you can also increase your Amazon ad budget if you can. And what we've done is just jump-started our book and pushing it back up in the rankings. And so with the free promo plus a discounted book and more reviews, your sales will increase, your ebook downloads will increase, and this will help your ranking. And if you do this every 90 days, after, around 180 days, your book suddenly has over 200 reviews. And so it's difficult to get reviews when you publish a book and then you go to YouTube and type in, how do I get book reviews? And you have no idea what to do and you're starting from scratch. However, if you prepare beforehand and you play this long game over a few months when your book is live, you find that getting to 200 plus reviews is actually quite simple. So we have to slow it down. With high content books, it is not a game of volume. That comes later. It's a game of putting everything we have into each book, making sure we nail everything, and seeing it through until the end. And so our overall goal to leverage the algorithm and get the most out of our books and publish books that actually sell is we want to find a high demand topic. We want to create a desirable book with its targeting, how we're selling it, with social proof. And most importantly, we have to launch this book for maximum sales to rank high. Because when we have a good book that performs well, Amazon sees that and ranks it better. And from what I've seen with lots of my students with my own books, is it's always the books that perform the best that rank the best. Amazon is solely a performance-based system, and all you have to do is target your main search term with the best book possible, and that's how you'll see results. And why this is great and why I love this new algorithm is because new books are being favored. We'll dive into an example in a second, but in many cases, you'll have these older established topics with established books, but those people don't upkeep those books. The covers get outdated, their performance starts to drop, and these newer books are overtaking them even if they have less reviews, because these books are launched well, executed properly, they're resonating with the customers. And so Amazon will just put these books ahead of even these older established books because their performance has been dropping. And then when you come up and start to make consistent sales for a long period of time, Amazon is very sticky. And so your book will stick to the top of the rankings if you continue to perform and sell over, 1, 2, 3, 4+ months. And then once you get a book that sells consistently very well on a topic, it stays there for a long time. And if we are doing these relaunch strategies every few months, getting more reviews, updating our cover and maybe our A+ content, we're going to keep our book relevant for a long period of time. And so when your book sells well, it ranks high fast, and it stays there even if it's new, compared to some older books that are already there. And so the important thing about this is don't be afraid of competition. Go where the demand is and create a no-brainer book. Create a book that is the best option compared to all the other ones. Launch it well. As long as the demand is there, you should definitely see some results. All right, so here is a quick example here. So for the search term keto diet for beginners, this was a very popular topic years ago. It has over 20,000 search results. As you can see, some of the best-selling books are, they have thousands of reviews, 30,000, 16,000. But if you look beside them, you're going to find some books that are brand new. So we have 2 months old, 2 months old. I believe this one is brand new as well. And even with a lower amount of reviews, they're actually selling pretty well. And of course, in the new year, this topic will pick up. But basically, what we're seeing is these new books are coming in. They're having a really loud, fun, desirable cover, like this one here, with a unique angle, the 8-week keto plan for weight loss. And it comes with a weight loss success tracker, a meal plan, full color. This one also has its unique angle. It's a 30-minute keto diet cookbook. And they're most likely launching these books very aggressively. And because they're in the new style, they have a desirable offer, they're starting to get picked up. And so a lot of this traffic is kind of steering away from the generic books and leaning towards these newer ones. And as you can see, they're being favored in the rankings. So even if a topic is established with some big players, these big players will always be here. However, it does not mean that you can't pull some of the traffic for your own books. And so I'm curious to come back and have a look at this book in the new year when these type of topics pick up, see how many reviews it has. But in this case, this is a very strong book in my opinion, but it only has 13 reviews. So they actually didn't launch it very well. They probably could have launched it better, gotten 150, and actually been one of the better selling books in this topic. So if you are brand new here, we do focus on high content publishing and no nonsense Amazon KDP advice. There's going to be tons of free resources in the description, as well as you can learn how you can get handheld guidance with your Amazon KDP business. So out of the way, subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next video.